What's up, guys? It's Hayden. I'm back. I'm going to be discussing some of the upcoming NFL free agents that are going to be entering the free agency market or are going to get swooped up and signed by their teams before they can go into free agency. And I'm going to discuss some of their fantasy relevancy going forward. We're going to start off with the man, the myth, the Christian legend, Kirk Cousins. Both parties want to re-sign. Seeming like either gonna resign. It's just a matter of what is his timeline going to be coming off the Achilles. He's only 35. If Aaron Rodgers can come back to play when he's 40, all these new surgeries and shit, I think Kirk Cousins is probably gonna start the year next year playing, which is crazy to think about. But I think he'll be back, and that's great news for him. One, he was on pace for a career year this past season, damn near 40 touchdowns, and maybe 10 picks, 12 picks around there. Would have been the best season of his career. He's got a great team around him. They're going to try and win with JJ and Jordan Addison and the boys. Yeah, I mean, I think pretty universally wheels up for Kirk Cousins if he stays in Minnesota for all parties. Next up, going to be looking at Baker Mayfield, starting off with the quarterbacks. This is a goofy picture, man. Holy crap. But Baker Mayfield, great little postseason run. He showed that the Bucks can win with Baker, which is really cool. We didn't really think that would happen. All signs right now, at least, are pointing towards him re-signing with the Bucks for a couple of years going forward and keeping them at least mid, propping up the fantasy assets of Rashad White, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, making sure they stay mid. Wide receiver 2, 3 for Godwin. Wide receiver 1, 2 for Mike Evans. Rashad White, I don't even know, dude. RB1, I guess. Good for them. Good for him. Hopefully it works out. Next, we're going to be looking at Hunter Henry and Noah Fant. We're talking about them. We're not even going to look at them. Just a little brief tidbit about them. They're both pretty mid, pretty okay. They're going to be contributors wherever they end up going. Hunter Henry leaving the Patriots, if he does end up leaving, they're going to need to draft a whole new offensive team to replace all the shit people they had, plus the couple good people that leave. And then Noah Fant leaving the Seahawks. They're going to need to add a tight end. Fant will be fine wherever he goes. Same with Hunter Henry. Neither of them are going to light the world on fire wherever they end up. Just a little brief mention for them. And next, we're going to start off with some running backs. Let's see just how good exactly Devin Singletary was. Because he was pretty good. Look at his game log. Don't use him, don't use him. All of a sudden, he starts getting the work. Pretty decent yards per carry mostly. Yeah, I mean, I think Devin Singletary will probably be back. Relatively cheap deal. He's not a humongously great scheme fit for the Texans in their Shanahan wide zone offense. I would think they're going to add somebody in the draft. Maybe try and steal Jordan Mason or something from the 49ers. But yeah, they need some more speed in their backfield, I would say. But I think Devin Singletary is going to stay a part of it, and he's shown that if you give him the opportunity, he'll be good. So I expect him to re-sign in a couple years. Relatively cheap deal, a couple mil. Nothing too crazy. Next up, we're going to look into DeAndre Swift. The Eagles hate to pay running backs. Unfortunately, that's pointing towards all sides being DeAndre Swift walking in free agency. For him, at least. He definitely is going to be after some bread coming off of his rookie deal. Probably not going to get it. I would think he signs a 1 or a 2-year Miles Sanders type deal, 3-year deal maybe on a bad team. But he's got some juice. He'll be fine wherever he ends up if it's a bad team. If he decides to instead, I guess, try and build up some of his perceived value to other teams and goes to a contender, that'd be really cool. He'd be awesome on the Ravens or something, just giving them that juice that no one of their running backs really have. Yeah, probably going to a bad team though. We're looking at the Bears, maybe looking at the Patriots, looking at the Raiders if Jacobs leaves, looking at the Ravens, looking at the Commanders. Maybe a decent fit for the Texans. Decent fit for the Titans, maybe. If they want to add another guy with Spears back there. Next, on to my beloved Charger, Austin Eckler. Definitely looked a little washed this year. He's not nearly as cut and dry as the last couple running backs we've looked at. Oh my, this is terrible. 10 carries, 11 yards. That's with, I think, Easton Stick playing that game. I don't know, but great receiving back. He looked injured. Needs to get right over the offseason. And the Chargers in general need to get right. This is a team that was a playoff team on a high-powered offense the year before last. I would expect more of that than what we got this past season. So his value will definitely bump back up more towards what it was, at least in the short term. But we can see the top of the hill with Austin Eckler, and it's behind us. We are not getting the RB1 ever again out of Austin, I'm afraid. He's looking a little washed. I think the Chargers are going to bring in somebody else. And beyond that, they might not even re-sign him. I think they will end up re-signing him because he's a great fit for their team. Great synergy with Justin Herbert. And I think Austin will probably end up re-signing with them because I think the Chargers will give him the most money. He's like this unique, small style running back. It's becoming more and more popular across the league. So maybe I'll be surprised and someone will give him more money elsewhere in a decent situation. But I think he returns on either high salary, low amount of seasons type deal, like a 1-year, 2-year deal for 7 or 8 mil, or I don't, just a cheap 1-year deal and he gets a little shafted. But expect the Chargers to keep hold of Austin Eckler, probably add somebody else in the draft. They've been trying to give somebody else to help this dude for the whole time he's been with the Chargers, but they just can't seem to get it right. Isaiah Spiller, not really working out this past season. Next, we're going to look at Tony Pollard. The Cowboys running back. A part of their pretty decent backfield. He was definitely underwhelming. A lot of people were projecting a career year out of Tony Pollard this year. That did not happen. Not in the slightest. I think he had 1,000-yard game all season. Yeah, that's got to do better than that on that elite Dallas Cowboys offense. Definitely could re-sign with the Cowboys on a cheaper deal. Already knows the scheme. Already knows the plays. Already knows he's a fit, you know. He's already been there. And same deal as Austin Eckler. I think the Cowboys would be one of his top offers, money wise at least. Tony Pollard is older. I think he's 27, but in college he didn't get that many touches. He hasn't got that many touches in the NFL. So I think his legs are relatively fresh, which is something to look at, but I don't know how great of a player Tony Pollard really is. I don't think he's worth difference maker at the RB position money. So I kind of see him fading a little bit into irrelevance. Probably could look to go to a lesser team to try and get some more money, but I think he stays with the Cowboys on a cheap deal to still be a little relevant and maybe try and build his value in the future of after his short contract. Next, looking at the big unit, Derrick Henry, the Yeti, absolute fucking monster. 30 years old. It's definitely perturbing, but I mean, you can read it right here. Mike Vrabel's gone. Seems like a new era in Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry's probably gone. They have money. If they want to keep him, they could. But I think they want to go with Tajay, go with the youth, start building on their future. And then the team that's been rumored for him to trade for them, to sign him, to do whatever for the past couple years has been the Ravens. They're obviously the top guess. Derrick Henry's interesting because he has actually gotten that big contract already, so he's not going to be, we think at least, he's not going to be as money focused. I don't think he's going to go to the Commanders or the Bears. I think he's going to try and win a Super Bowl. And the Ravens are definitely the top team for him to have a chance to do that. Among all the big contenders, they definitely have the biggest need at running back. And if he goes there, he probably eats all of Gus Edwards' work. Oh, who's the other guy? That's gonna bug me. Not J.K. Dobbins. Justice Hill. I think Justice Hill is gonna be decent just because the Ravens themselves will be decent. But yeah, Derrick Henry definitely RB1 season if he's on the Ravens. He's gonna be a touchdown machine for them if he ends up going there. Tajay, probably an RB1. It depends how good the Titans end up being without Derrick Henry, but Tajay will get to work. He'll be RB2, RB1 for sure. Next, moving up to Josh Jacobs. I lean towards him re-signing and becoming kind of a little building block for the Raiders to rebuild around. I don't think they'll try and keep winning with Jimmy Garoppolo after they damn near revolted with his ass as the quarterback. But who knows? Hayden O'Connell probably isn't the guy either. And the other option is, for fantasy, his value would definitely be better if he stays and signs a decent 3-year deal. Miles Sanders type beat. But if that doesn't happen, which is also a likely scenario, probably 50-50 if I had to guess. Maybe leaning a bit more towards leaving, honestly, at this point. With Zamir White looking really good. He could go to Chicago, team up with Caleb Williams. The Ravens again, constantly in the RB market, looking for guys. Washington would be pretty cool, but he also does have a little bit of a similar skill set to maybe Brian Robinson. Houston, not the best fit, but they have a lot of money to spend. Tennessee as well, they have a lot of money to spend, but presumably they want to go youth, try and rebuild, evaluate what they have behind Derrick Henry, not bring in someone else in front of all those guys. So it's seeming like the market's not there for these running backs, dude. Josh Jacobs probably could end up re-signing with the Raiders. He'd be fun with the Chargers. I don't know if they have the money for him though. Need a bigger physical back to go along with Eckler. looking into the most prestigious of the free agent running backs. You got Saquon Barkley, man. Yeah. I mean, we know Saquon Barkley's a dog. Been hurt a little bit. Really bad year with Tommy DeVito, whatever, all the other bullshit that the Giants had to deal with this past season, which isn't fun at all, but it's out of his control, right? And it's seeming like he might get tagged. He just wants the most money he can get. He's a bag chasing running back, just like pretty much everybody else. But there's just not all the. There's no bag to be had. Bars. I mean, could go to Chicago. They've got a bunch of money. New England totally could sign him. Take the pressure off a rookie quarterback they end up drafting. I mean, Baltimore for a cheaper deal. The Commanders would be horrible, I'm sure, for a Giants fan to see him play for them. The Texans would be really fun, admittedly. And that's kind of who I could see him going to. But if I'm the Giants and I want to try and win, you definitely tag, dude. And if I'm Saquon, I'm just after that money. So if I get tagged, I get tagged. You can't really do shit about it unless you want to sit out like Lev Bell and get screwed over. So might get tagged, might go to Carolina or something and to be an actual really good running back instead of Miles Sanders, bummy self. But we'll end up seeing. Let's see this play from Saquon. Look at that. House call. Oh, never mind. They caught him. Saquon, that's why you're not gonna get re-signed, buddy. Okay, that's all the running backs that I wanted to talk about. Next, we're gonna go into the receivers. Just checking how much time we ran through. And this is probably the most, well, I don't know. This and the running back class are honestly both pretty all right. Starting off at the bottom, we got Kendrick Bourne. He tore his ACL early in the year. He was all right. He was the one for an absolutely awful Patriots team. Oh my goodness. You think and you figure he'll be a okay contributor on another team. Probably not doing all that much elsewhere though. If he leaves, that's just more targets for Pop Douglas, I guess. He's the only guy worth the shit that's probably staying on this roster. Yeah. Next up, we got Tyler Boyd. Kind of the same deal as Kendrick Bourne. He'll be okay. He'll be a piece wherever he ends up. Probably a 3. He's lost a couple steps. In recent years, maybe he could have been a 2, but not anymore. He's just a 3. Maybe he goes to a wide receiver needy team like the Patriots, like the Panthers, for a little bit more money and actually contributes a little. Him leaving also creates another big target vacuum on the Bengals, which maybe they can re-sign T. Higgins. Who knows? We'll get into that later, but might need to draft some pieces as well. And then after Tyler Boyd, we're going to look at the legend, Odell Beckham Jr. He had the sloppy toppy. He made that cool. But, yeah, man. Pretty good year for Odell. Honestly, coming off of his rough injury. Showed he could still contribute, be a part of a winning team. Really? Oh, shit. Maybe it wasn't that good. Maybe it wasn't that good at all. Huh. What the hell do I know, apparently. But I think he's good. I think he's got some juice left. Could be more exciting, maybe on a team that needs him more than the Ravens. I know Odell wants to get some work and be a part of a winning team. I think he's got some more juice in the tank, man, but we'll just have to see. I don't think he's back with the Ravens next year. I think he's going to try and win. Go to the Chiefs, go to the Cowboys, go to one of these. Maybe the Bills would be exciting for Odell as well. They could use another weapon. With all that uncertainty with Diggs as well, that'd be a crazy locker room. More of a sure thing. Let's go into Darnell Mooney. He was a beast, I think 2 years ago. I think the Bears would be very well served to keep this guy around for Caleb Williams to throw to. He's a great deep threat. Fantastic athlete. He's a dog. He just wants to ball out. Yeah, man. 140 targets. That's impressive. But it's kind of up in the air if they bring him back. He's going to be valuable wherever he goes. The Bears getting a new quarterback will bump up his value. The worst thing for him would be to go to join the Panthers or something where he might not actually get to develop. If I was Mooney, I'm either sticking around to see what happens with Caleb Williams on the Bears, or I'm going to the Chiefs. I'm going to the Ravens. I'm going to this team, a team with an awesome quarterback that can make me better. They could use me as well. Definitely look to see him get a big bump in value in the offseason. Pretty much whatever happens to him, which is really cool. Next, gonna look into Calvin Ridley. He's 29, just coming off his rookie contract. That's so weird. He seems like a weird guy, honestly. But let's see his game logs. Yeah. I mean, at this point in his career, he seems like he's a 2 on a good team. Chris Godwin level receiver, somebody that's good. You definitely don't want to build your offense around him, though. And I think the Jaguars do not have enough money to re-sign him, because if they want to tag him, then they can't re-sign Josh Allen, who's a very important piece on that defense. And if they re-sign him, they're also going to have to give up a second-round pick instead of a third-round pick to the Falcons, which is a part of the trade when they got him. And I think they'd rather just cut bait, to be honest. I mean, he's a good player. They're going to need to fill that hole. Parker Washington is a guy I kind of like to try and do that, but definitely going to be looking to see if they draft somebody else or maybe bring in a T. Higgins by making a move to lose some salary cap so they can add T. Higgins. The Clemson connection there would be cool to see. In general, yeah, I don't think Calvin Ridley's going to spend any more time with the Jaguars, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's a guy that will definitely be able to get 20 mil from the Patriots, 20 mil from the Bears, 20 mil from the Giants, 20 mil from Carolina, so they'll at least have a fair amount of choices. He could end up going to the Jets too, which I would kind of like to see. I think they need definitely another piece to go along with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are the only guys there in New York. That'd be really fun for them to add a veteran presence like that. Next up on to Hollywood Brown. It's kind of the same deal as your Calvin Ridley. He's a really good player. Definitely not elite. Not a 1. Can't be a 1. If he's a 1, your team's not that good. Sorry, Hollywood. But, I mean, he'll be productive. He's not worth 1 money. Probably get 20 mil to be a 1 for a bad team, though. I think he's after the bag. I think he's going to a Carolina, a Chicago, a New England, a New York Giants. He'd be good for the Jets as well, but I don't know if they want to cough up that kind of money. But maybe Aaron Rodgers pressures him into it. Who knows, right? Definitely leaning towards him leaving the Cardinals. That would once again open up some pretty big target volume from them, but there's a lot of rumors swirling of them drafting Marvin Harrison, who might be better than Marquise Brown off rip, which would be awesome for them and for Kyler to throw to. Mike Evans is the next guy on my list. Big A&M fan. Love this dude. He's a absolute beast. Monster. Consistent as they come. I think he's coming back. I think he loves it in Tampa. He's got his ring. He's re-signed with them before when they weren't that great. Maybe he wants to ring chase some more. But he could retire as Mr. Tampa Bay and one of the best receivers in NFL history, while definitely being the best Tampa Bay receiver ever. I think that happens. I think he pairs up well with Baker and his kind of just chuck it attitude, gunslinger mentality. I think he's really fun. He's got definitely a couple more productive years left in the tank. If he does end up leaving, I think it's more to ring chase, which could lead to some more very, very exciting destinations like the Bills, like the Chiefs. These teams that maybe sputtered a little bit offensively, but still have the truly elite quarterbacks. Maybe he goes to the cheap for the Bengals or something, which would be even crazier. I don't think they have the money for that though, so best not to get down that rabbit hole. Yeah, I mean, probably same with the Bucks, which has been great so far. So good for him, good for them, good for their fantasy players that own him in fantasy. Next up, we got Michael Pittman. I mean, the Colts look stupid for not re-signing this guy, and good for him. He's reaping all the benefits. Casual 1,000 yard season, stud, just super dependable, reliable. Amon-Ra St. Brown style possession receiver. Trustworthy hands, separator. He's going to be great for Anthony Richardson in the future. They'd be stupid not to re-sign him. Give him pretty much whatever he wants for your young quarterback to develop him and make sure he has good weapons to throw to. And he'll be a high-end wide receiver too going forward, maybe even a 1, depending on how him and Anthony Richardson can develop together and build that rapport. And finally, the crown jewel of the receiver and probably the free agency class as a whole. It's T. Higgins. T. Higgins. He was not that great this season. Very hit and miss. Joe Burrow was out. T. Higgins was out. It was messy. Just messy, messy, messy. Is this? Yeah. I mean, you see it right here. 89, 21, 19, 20. Disappears for 3 weeks in a row. He bounced back. I mean, he's obviously not washed. He's 25 years old. Never any major injuries. Just, I think he's a 2. Solid 2. Great 2. Maybe with more of a focal point on him in the offense, he can be elite. If he wants to sign for a cheaper deal, could go to the Chiefs on really fun, exciting roster. Be the number 1 for Patrick Mahomes with Travis Kelce fading, Rashee Rice kind of being more that intermediate threat, short yardage threat. T. Higgins can be that big-bodied X, field stretching type, back shoulder fade, savant. Other than that, I don't really think he goes to the Chiefs. I think he wants some money. And unless the Chiefs cough it up, I don't think he's going there. Could totally see him ending up going to the Jaguars. Or not the Jaguars, they don't have the money either. The Giants, definitely looking for a wide receiver, especially a bigger receiver like T. Higgins. Could totally go to the Patriots on a humongous deal. Could go to the Bears on a big deal after they traded him and DJ Moore. Would definitely be very exciting. And you can afford that with your rookie deal for the quarterback. Could see him going to a Carolina for a bajillion dollars. Help Bryce Young, give him a weapon. I think, yeah, T. Higgins, he'll still be valuable going forward in Dynasty and in redraft, but definitely would look for him. I think the best scenario we said is obviously the Chiefs, but I don't think that's that realistic. I think pairing up with Caleb Williams and being the two behind DJ Moore sounds okay. You don't want to predict Caleb Williams to be as good as CJ Stroud though, and actually support two high-end wide receiver twos. I think if he goes going forward, he just needs to get paired up with a good quarterback. Like the Giants is definitely worst case there, or maybe the Panthers if Bryce Young's actually shit. Hopefully it works out for him though. And the other big factor of T. Higgins leaving in free agency, likely leaving, is that the Bengals will have to fill the T. Higgins-sized hole in their offense. He only got 72 targets, or 76 targets over 12 games. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. This past season. However, he's been a bigger piece in their offense before, and you don't want to run it all through Jamar Chase. If Tyler Boyd leaves as well, I definitely expect them to add a nice high draft pick at wide receiver. Maybe a Brian Thomas, maybe a Lad McConkey type guy in the third round or a Jermaine Burton, like one of these route running types that can separate off the rip and help them win sooner rather than later than being more of a project receiver. Yeah, whoever the rookie that the Bengals end up drafting at wide receiver is going to be very, very appealing with all those voided targets, that big old vacuum in the offense. Jamar Chase could have, how many targets did he have? Probably not that many this year. I need to see last year's stats. Only 130. See, he's a rookie. 128. I mean, yeah. Okay, he had 145 this year. Definitely expect Jamar Chase to get near the 170 target mark next year, 180. It might be Jamar Chase, wide receiver one season all over again. Who knows? I could definitely see that happening though. If you stuck around through this long-winded ass explanation of free agents that haven't actually left anywhere yet, thanks. I'm planning on making more videos. Look at Jamar, so stern. Some more videos about fantasy, about football. If you'll have any suggestions, please leave them for me in the comments. I'd be happy to do them and look into them. Or any recommendations for formatting these videos, anything like that. Let me know, shoot me some ideas in the comments. Yeah. If you're still here, thanks for watching. See ya.